Coding versus programming is a debate that has become relevant in the software development community fairly recently. Watch this video to find out why they are different and why it is important to know the distinction. With the recent rise in computer science classes across all grades, we are starting to grow our personal vocabularies in ways that make the average person uncomfortable. To complicate matters, many of these new words seem to have such intimidating histories that we don't take the time to properly understand their usage. Instead, we repeat them blindly, whether we know what they really mean or not. One such example of complex wordsmithing is the synonymous use of terms coding and programming. Coding and programming are the two most important approaches in software development industries. Coding is basically the process of creating codes from one language to another. It can also be called as a subset of programming since it actually implements the initial steps of programming. It involves writing codes in different languages as instructed. Programming is the process of developing an executable machine-level program that can be implemented without any error. It is the process of formally writing codes so that the human inputs and corresponding machine outputs remain in sync. I will explain the difference between coding and programming in this video. Coding is the process of translating and writing codes from one language to another, whereas programming is the process of building an executable program that can be used to carry out proper machine-level outputs. Coding only deals with the codes, and so it is less intimidating and less intensive. On the other hand, programming deals with a program to control and interact with the machine to produce proper results. Coders are mainly used to translate the requirements and their logic into a language that machines can understand, whereas programming deals with much more than that. It's not only used to analyze and develop the codes, but also engage all the different artifacts to make the system perform in a proper way. Coding is the initial step of developing any software, and thus it is much easier and simpler to analyze and understand than programming. Programming deals with different types of complex scenarios and programs to ensure the proper implementation of the product. Coders only translate the requirement logic into machine-understandable code, without worrying about the details. But on the other hand, programmers use to analyze and conceptualize different aspects of any program and also solutions to any problems that may or may not occur due to the process. It works on a much broader aspect than coders. To become a programmer, different aspects of any approach need to be considered. In the case of coding, one just has to deal with the codes and concerned requirements. So complex programming requires a much more in-depth understanding of the language. Coding can be defined as a part of the programming approach, whereas programming can be defined as a suspect of coding. It deals with different aspects of any programming base, including the coding approach. The machine can't interact with human communication, and it only understands the machine code, which is the binary language. So the main work of a coder is to translate the requirements into machine-understandable language. Creating code is the beginning step, and then programming is used to analyze and implement the same and produce the proper machine-level output. It also involves all the critical parameters from debugging and compiling to testing and implementation. Coders need to have a thorough understanding of the project working language. However, they mainly code as per the project needs and instructed information. This is the initial steps of developing a software product. Programmers use it to analyze and conceptualize the different aspects of communication and produce the correct machine outputs. It normally takes much more time for an individual to become a programmer than a coder. People often confuse programming and coding and use these two terms interchangeably. Let's just get this out of the way now. They are not the same thing, and in fact, they are quite different. That's the end of the video, guys. Thank you very much for sticking around till the end. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. If you're interested in learning more about computer science and coding, click the link in my description to my blog where you can expand your knowledge on these topics. See you in the next video!